Hey guys, how's it going? This is Tom Burkhart from Car-Revs Daily. Going out for a drive review in the 2019 Hyundai Kona. This is easily my new favorite subcompact crossover. I got on my Hawaii hat. I'm all aboard the Kona. Really great vehicle. So let's. So what is this vehicle? What makes it great? What makes it so entertaining and exciting in the subcompact, the mini crossover segment, competing with vehicles like the Ford EcoSport, Honda HR-V, Chevy Trax, Jeep Renegade or Compass, Toyota CHR, Mitsubishi Outlander Cross, which we tested the other month. I mean, there's a lot of players here basically trying to hoover up all of the sales that would have gone to compact cars or subcompacts. But these days, it's just so much nicer to spend your money, spend maybe a couple $1,000s more and get a vehicle that feels much larger, is actually like a little stylish and not as depressing as a lot of those compacts, and is more practical. So there's a lot of reasons why people love these, mini crossovers, but to date, I mean, I haven't found one that I've really actually enjoyed, or I mean, there's so many of them are pretty enjoyable. The EcoSport is like surprisingly fun to drive. The Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross was shockingly luxurious, like really luxury cabin, which was like the nicest Mitsubishi I've ever been in ever. But this Kona really brings it all together because it found the way to my heart, which is power. So this car's fast. So Kona, we're in the 2019 Kona Ultimate all-wheel drive. So this is the turbo and the turbo with all-wheel drive. So we're at the top of the range. Pricing for the vehicle overall starts from about 20,500, or about 21 grand with the delivery charge, and then can go up to about 30 as tested, like our test car right now. So let's turn traction stability control off, put in sport mode, put in 4x4 lock, and we'll do a little rolling start there. surprisingly good. I'm really not trying to poo-poo the Elantra Sport from the other week, but it has effectively the same powertrain as the Elantra Sport, but with 26 fewer horsepower. The 1.6 liter turbo in the Kona makes only 175 horsepower versus, I believe, 201 in the Elantra Sport. Yet the Kona is faster and so much better to drive. It's like night and day. It's just so much better. So Kona will do, so the base drivetrain, I should say, from in those lower trim levels, from about $20,000 to $24,000, is going to be a 2-liter 4-cylinder, making 147 horsepower. Just a really economical, not a frisky motor at all. And then from the limited up, from about 25 grand upwards for the limited and the ultimate, you get the 1.6 liter turbo. And it's gutsy. I don't know how it has 26 fewer horsepower than the Elantra Sport, and it's so much faster and more rewarding, but it really is. It really is. So this, being able to do a 6.6 second sprint to 60 miles an hour is extremely rapid for a mini crossover. I mean, even the EcoSport with like the larger, or excuse me, the more powerful turbo engine, and it's like an 8.0. I mean, the same for, I think the Eclipse Cross is like 8.5. I mean, HR-V is like 12. CHR is like 8.5. I mean, there's nothing else in this ballpark at all that's anywhere near as fast as this Kona Turbo. I mean, this is a frisky car. In addition to being fast, it's got this awesome 7-speed double clutch automatic, which is just like, it has none of the hiccups of like Ford's double clutch that people really, it was a real love-hate relationship with that one. It's so smooth around town. It's absolutely flawless, but it has a wide gear spread, and the shifts are basically instantaneous and nearly imperceptible. So awesome drivetrain, very speedy and fun. Having all-wheel drive, I think, really helps, and the sport mode really helps, especially in twisty roads like this, because It basically doesn't upshift as much. It'll keep you in a lower gear generally. It doesn't downshift approaching corners, and we don't have shift paddles, but it's still great. It's still really good. Where a lot of these economy cars, you know, generally speaking, will really just like wash out and have bad handling that really like discourages risky driving. Kona really seems to like love it. It seems to be like wants to be grabbed by the scruff of its neck and shook around. It really does feel enthusiastic about it, which is cool. And then and this is not as like a sport model at all, but it handles really well. I think the chassis is so much more rigid than the last generations of Hyundai vehicles that it really is just like night and day. I mean, it handles so well, and then it has really neutral like breakaway when it's going to lose traction, like if it's wet out or something, and you overcook a corner. It's very neutral. There's like not really understeer per se. Oh, we can go down this little sandy road. There's not really understeer per se. It's just sort of like a neutral handling feel. The steering stays pretty pure, and the overall experience is just fun. It's just fun in the way that you know, pushing any kind of compact car hard should be. So I really like this car a lot. The Kona's amazing. So we're on this little sandy road here. Can't do anything to. So the tail the tail appears to be like a little bit in play. I mean, we've got a part of one of our displays here can show where the power's going, front or back. I mean, it's just a goof, and it does send power to the back even when it's not in lock, and that really helps with with launch and coming out of corners. Basically, to keep that steering super pure, keep the feel really planted, and be able to effectively put down the power without a ton of wheel spin or. For a $25,000 mini crossover, there's nothing more entertaining than this Kona. So it drives great. It's very quick. It's very affordable. And some of the other reasons I love it are just like, so the tech is super easy. I mean, granted, I've been reviewing these Hyundais pretty enough that I really know I know their infotainment controls and sort of like controlling the safety stuff through the steering wheel buttons. Like, I know it pretty well, but it's also just like pretty easy even if you don't. So everything's just like really intuitive, really simple. They don't overcomplicate anything, and when Hyundai makes a good car, they really go all out. I mean, they're trying to really move their brand up a notch in terms of driver engagement and fun to drive handling feel, which is easy to say, hard to deliver, as the sport proves. But this car is just awesome. The super rigid. It's got a pretty ride, but that's standard for all these mini crossovers. But the benefit is like it's not wallowy at all. Like it has really precise handling, good steering feel. I'm just a big fan. It's got great tech standard, so it's got like Apple CarPlay standard, and then as you move up the range, you know, things get better and better. So like on this version, we have integrated nav as well as Apple CarPlay. We've got moonroof, of course. The Limited and the Ultimate get LED tail lights, and then I think maybe just the Ultimate gets LED low and high beams with automatic high beams. It's got lane keep, heads-up display that's really useful. That includes your speed, the speed limit, and then it actually gives you just like a visual warning of things in your blind spot, so you don't actually have to look at the blind spot monitor icons in the mirror, which is just handy and practical. And it'll also flash up like what media source you're and you know, just a couple other like useful elements. We've got a little slowpoke in front of us here, but we'll go around in a minute. So I mean, so that stuff is really good. So it's got the Qi wireless charging. I mean, power ports galore. Good driving position. You know, the leather is still like kind of iffy, but this is a cheap car. This is really a doable, attainable vehicle. with pricing that you can't spend more than $30,000 on this car unless you get like every accessory ever. So I mean, that stuff is all really great. Let's think of some other stuff that's really good. Oh, well, the style. So it looks cool. It looks really cool. So they all have standard LED daytime running lights up front that are sort of that 5-pack of ultra slimline lighting in the upper nose. But the design itself is just really sort of like crisp and funky. It doesn't really look like much else on the road. It's a very cool look. And then with the LED taillights out back, I mean, this could be, it kind of looks like the Stelvio from the back. Like, this kind of looks like an Alfa Romeo. I know, it's weird. Maybe that's a stretch, but they're really just well done executions of the taillight LEDs. And then sort of just funky placement for the cornering lamps and turn signals and fog lights. Like, it's all just sort of like unique and cool and funky and stylish in a really good way. So, awesome. And but the one thing I exterior style, which I don't know if I'm like 100% about, I just like to see what it would look like. So being sort of like a soft roader like this Kona is, there's a lot of gray plastic so around the fenders and parts of the bumpers. So the intention of that is to be like harder wearing and not take and be resistant to scratches if you're doing any kind of like gravel driving or something. But I mean, one of the flip sides is like it looks a little bit, I just really wonder how it would look with everything painted. I'm not sure if that would really work on this car because the way they've done the gray plastic elements, they're sort of like chunkier than the rest of the design. So it's not like they just didn't paint part of it. You could definitely tell it's intentional, but it's just sort of like, I wonder how it would look painted. And I think that would be cool to see. But you know, that wouldn't be as good for those gravel drives and stuff like that. So Kona's awesome. It's the best subcompact crossover on the market right now. It's great. So how does it do that versus like, you know, other like pretty capable rivals? CHR is fun to drive. EcoSport is pretty fun to drive too. But both of those vehicles, EcoSport, you can never really forget that you're in. It's just a lot narrower than this Kona, which is a little, you know, it's an international Ford vehicle first, and you can tell it's too narrow, you know, for my taste. And then CHR, which is, you know, Toyota's sub RAV4 entrant, is not as practical. Back seat's tiny. I mean, this back seat's pretty good. Versus this back seat, Compass and Eclipse Cross probably have the best back seats I've seen in this segment. But CHR in particular feels really, it's got that really swoopy roofline, which is cool and stylish, but it's not as practical. It's just not. It's just a lot smaller, and it's, you know, it doesn't have as commanding of a view over traffic. It's just, it just feels less convincing as like an SUV crossover. Whereas Kona, you know, is sort of like me, you know, it's a soft roader. You know, it goes below Tucson, which is like a dedicated SUV platform. I mean, it's fine. This is based on a true car platform. It's got a slightly raised body height, slightly raised position, and it's all the better for it. Practical than a lot of these other ones, but it's still teeny, super efficient, and you know, and really just it goes to the top of the class really easily. It's this motor. I was really worried their 1.6 turbo was just pretty gutless. This one feels totally different than in the Elantra Sport. Even though it's down on power, it's fast by the stopwatch, a lot faster from the seat of your pants. So good stuff there. I really like the Kona. I don't know if you can tell. So what's changing? So this car was like new for 19, so there aren't really many changes for 20. And you should go give it a drive. If you like speedy, entertaining, compact crossovers, this is the one for you. See you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe.